Okay, so we'll be talking on transport across the cell membrane. As we all know, permeability of the substance across the cell membrane is dependent over the lipid, because the major cell membrane is made up of two layers of lipid. So if the component or the molecule, if it is fat soluble, then it can easily cross across the membrane. If it is water soluble, then it cannot. So such of the materials which can cross across the lipid, which they cannot cross, so they require some channel or gates or carriers, so that that molecule can be taken in and out of the cell. Okay, depends whether it want to be enter into the cell or it want to exit the cell, depending on that. But if it is more of water soluble, then it requires the carriers. If it is more of the lipid soluble, then it can travel across the cell membrane, because it can dissolve into the cell membrane itself. So water soluble compounds are carrier mediated transport. Carrier mediated means you can have any gated channels. Okay, small gates will be there to the cell membrane or the pores which are with the proteins, transmembrane protein. We have seen one of the function of transmembrane protein is it acts as a channel, and this transport is selective. Selective means not every component is allowed to cross across the membrane. Only selective, like only particular kind of molecule is allowed to transport across the membrane, not others. So that is selective. The cell membrane knows what it allows to travel across the membrane. Next, this is bidirectional. Bidirectional means movement of components in and out of the cell is also allowed. Okay, it's not that everything comes into the cell. There are molecules which are going out of the cell also. So that is the you are seeing as bidirectional, means components are coming in and out of the cell. And also depending upon the different concentration inside and outside the cell. Okay, if for example the component is not required, or concentration of that particular compound is low in the cell, so from the higher concentration which is in the outside the cell, the molecules start traveling into the cell. So depending on concentration, the movement of the things can also be decided. Diffusion, okay, simple diffusion can occur across the cell membrane. You might have learnt in basic physiology experiments also, when you are having two different solutions separated by semi-permeable membrane, then the movement of molecule is always across the concentration gradient. Similarly, if you see cell membrane, it is actually separating two compartments. One is your cytoplasm, other is the water molecules which are outside the cell, extracellular matrix. So your cell membrane is actually acting as a semi-permeable membrane, which is separating two liquids, liquid 1, liquid 2, and the molecules movement is always from the higher gradient to lower gradient if it is a simple diffusion. Okay, it allows the simple diffusion of the molecules from the higher concentration or higher concentration gradient to the lower concentration gradient across the semi-permeable membrane. The cell membrane acts as a semi-permeable membrane. Okay. So how do you classify? Classification of transport across membrane can be a 3-mark question. Okay, just classification can be a 3-mark question. Okay, in the exam they'll ask you, write the types of transport across membrane or classify the membrane transportation. So that time you should be able to write this as your main template. Okay, one is called as passive transport, other is called as active transport. The name itself tells active means they requires energy currency. What is the energy currency of the cell? It is the
ATP.
ATP. Yes.
ATP.
ATP.
Yes. If the molecule transport into the cell or outside the cell, it requires the energy, then it is called as active transport. If molecule is taken in and out of the cell, but they do not require the ATP. Okay, ATP is not required. Then it's called as passive transport. So when we require the molecule to be taken in or given out, the transport of that molecule requires the energy currency ATP, then we are calling them as active transport. Okay, if it do not require the ATP, okay, the transport of that molecule do not require the ATP, such kind of transport we call as passive transport. Okay, then again passive transport can be of different types. What are those? One is simple diffusion, second is
Facilitated
facilitated
diffusion,
diffusion,
osmosis.
yeah, ion channels and osmosis. Okay, ion channels you can consider under the facilitated also because you have specific channels for the same, but to simplify it, it is also considered as a separate entity. Okay, passive transport can be simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, ion channels and osmosis. When it comes to the active transport, active can be primary active or secondary active transport. Okay, primary active or secondary active transport. Primary active means, like for example, a molecule need to enter the cell, and this entry is because of ATP. Okay, ATP helps to open this gate so that the molecule travel across the membrane. So here ATP is acting on membrane protein to transport, like for example, sodium. So how is the sodium transported here now? It is active transport because ATP is utilized to transport only sodium. But like for example, in secondary what happens? We are using ATP. Sodium is getting in, but along with that, what is entering inside is glucose also. So for glucose, now is it an active transport or not? It is active transport. But is it primary active or secondary active? It is secondary because primarily ATP is utilized to make the sodium enter the cell, not the glucose. But what is happening here is glucose along with sodium is entering inside. So actually ATP is utilized to make the movement of sodium, not the glucose. But still glucose is entering. So for glucose, it is actually a secondary active. The ATP is not utilized to make glucose to enter in the cell. It is actually for the sodium, but glucose is also entering. So such kind of active transport is called as secondary active. Primarily, it is not for glucose what is actually occurring here. Energy is used to movement of sodium, but glucose is also entering inside it. Such kind of transport is called as secondary active transport. So we'll see first passive transport. Passive transport, they require the channel and their diffusion is very simple. They don't require anyone depending on the concentration gradient. From higher concentration to lower concentration is the movement. That is the simple diffusion. Okay, you have cell membrane, you have transmembrane protein which acts as a gate or the channel or the protein which helps in the transportation, and the movement of the molecules is based on their concentration. They move from higher concentration to the lower concentration gradient. Like for example, either from in to out or from out to in. Okay, it can be out to in or in to out depending on the concentration gradient. That is called as simple diffusion, and this do not require any energy. Here you can see here there is no requirement of any ATP. It is based on simple concentration gradient, and this can be bidirectional. As I told you, either molecule can go from in of the cell to out of the cell or from outside to in of the cell depending on the concentration gradient. That is a passive transport in that simple diffusion. Like for example, simple oxygen or the solutes. Okay, those all don't require any specialized components. They cross across the membrane as a simple diffusion. Next is called as facilitated diffusion. In facilitated diffusion, what happens? The protein need to work something. Okay, in simple diffusion, the protein is intact. Okay, there is no change in the protein structure. It is intact. The molecules will keep moving in and out depending on the concentration gradient. But here, if you see here, in the facilitated diffusion, this protein is undergoing some changes. The molecule is changing the structure of the protein. Means what? The protein is helping or facilitating the movement of the molecule. So that's the reason why it is called as facilitated diffusion. The protein or the membrane protein or the transport or the gate is making some changes in itself so that the molecule from outside to in or inside to out is pushed. Okay, it is facilitating the movement. So that is the reason they are called as facilitated diffusion. One of such example is the glucose transporters. Okay, majority of the glucose transporters are facilitatory transfusion. So these proteins exist in two conformations. Okay, that is called as ping and pong mechanism. Okay, or the ping and pong conformation or the state of the protein. Okay, you can see here one of the GIF I have inserted where there is some changes in the protein which is brought about so that this molecule can travel across the membrane. Pong means the active site is exposed to exterior. Like for example, I'll show you some picture. Like for example, this is in, this is out. Pong means active site means actually what? Where the protein or the molecule comes and attaches. Okay, it will bind on this site. So this portion is exposed to outside initially. So that is the Pong state. And once a molecule binds to this, it will make the changes in the structure such a way that it will open into inwards. Okay, it will act as a one of the lever. It will open inwards. Then the molecule is thrown into the cell. That is conformation called as ping. Active site, if it is exposed to external surface, it is Pong. And once the protein or the molecule binds to this protein, it will change the protein structure such a way that it will open into the internal surface. So that is called as ping or the active site facing interior of the cell. By this mechanism, ping and pong pathway. Okay. By ping and pong mechanism, the molecules are traveling inwards or facilitates the movement of the molecule. Like for example, glucose transporters or even some of the hormones also travel across the membrane by this kind of facilitated mechanism. Okay, that is the facilitated diffusion. Here again, if you see, there is no ATP is required. Okay, there is no requirement of the ATP for this kind of mechanism too. Now, third type of simple passive transport is the ion channels. Ion channel itself tells it is only for ions. Like for example, you have sodium, potassium, chloride, or calcium, phosphorus, anything, magnesium, any ions you take. The transport across the membrane requires the specific channels. Means what? Sodium will have its own ion channels. Okay, protein is separately different for this one. Potassium, they have separate protein. Okay, so means each metal ion or any ion has got its own channels, which helps only the transport of that particular molecule. Like for example, if it is for sodium, only sodium can travel across it. If it is for potassium, only potassium can travel through it. If it is for calcium, only calcium can travel across this protein channel. Okay, they are called as ion channel. So transport of the ions such as I mentioned, cannot pass through the membrane without the help of these channels. Okay, these all the molecules, whatever I have mentioned, all these, they cannot enter into the cell Without these channels, okay, if there is absence of this particular channel, like sodium channel is absent, so sodium cannot travel across the membrane very easily. There are other pumps, but routinely this channel is absent. Or like for example, chloride channel is absent. Then there are some diseases like cystic fibrosis. So the channels also plays a very important role in transport across the membrane. So some of the clinical applications, like for example, sodium channel defect, there is a disorder called as Liddle's disease. Potassium channel defect, there occurs a prolonged QT syndrome. Okay, QT means it will be on the ECG. When you will be reading the physiology of the cardiac system, they will be teaching you what is electrocardiography and what is electrocardiogram and what are the different wave pattern what you see on the ECG, and then you will understand what you mean by prolonged QT interval or the QT syndrome. Okay, for now you can just remember there is some ECG changes if there is potassium defect, potassium channel defect. Okay, and one more related to the chloride, that is a disease or disorder called as cystic fibrosis. Okay, for now, for your competency, you can just remember the name of the disease and the channel what is involved in it. Okay, and other details like for example, sodium channels, they are used, or there are some drugs like for example local anesthetic drugs which block these channels so that the pain cannot be felt by person. Okay, then you have something called as Liddle's disease, which is again related to the defect in the sodium channel, because of which what happens, there is increase in the sodium retention. Okay, there is excessive sodium retention in the uh, body. So we all know sodium increases osmotic pressure, and again water is moving into the blood vessels. So increase in the blood vessel volume will lead to again retention of the water, and the person will end up having high or elevated blood pressure. Then as I mentioned, prolonged QT syndrome, which you will be learning when you are doing the ECG in the physiology, that is in the heart or the cardiac system, cardiology, cardiovascular chapter. Okay. Then it is majorly due to the potassium channel defect. Chloride channel defect, you can even see with the role of GABA and glycine inhibitors. This also again when you are learning the uh, central nervous system or CNS in physiology, you will come across these components which are called as inhibitors and excitators. Okay, some neurotransmitters are inhibitory, some neurotransmitters are excitatory. Means they decrease the any neurotransmission. We all know neurotransmission is one of the major, like for example, neurons helps in the transport of the all the information. So that is inhibited by these particular molecules. So chloride defect will cause that, and there is certain disorders like cystic fibrosis, which is majorly related to the chloride again, as I mentioned. Last one, retina, your vision. Okay, again, this you will be learning in detail when you are learning the chapter on eye. Okay, that is the vision. How a human eye can see the things, how it can perceive the color, how it can perceive the distance, how it can perceive the objects. So those are things you will be learning the vision pathway. Okay, the vision pathway in both physiology also when you are learning the vision, and also in biochemistry when we are learning the vitamin A. Okay, we all know vitamin A is helpful for vision. It helps in the vision. So how it is helpful, how it is benefiting the vision pathway. So that also in detail you will be learning in further course of time. But for now, what you should remember is the particular channel and what is the defect. Sodium channel, you can have Liddle's disease. Potassium channel, ECG changes like long QT syndrome. Chloride channels, it can inhibit or reduce the inhibitor neurotransmitters, also cystic fibrosis disease, and also retina, okay, particular excitation or vision part. The last in the passive diffusion is osmosis. That is passive flow of solvent. Previously, what we have seen, it is all solutes. Okay, someone messaged me, sir, one student waiting room, she got his mail. I don't see anyone waiting here. Okay. Yeah, all are empty, no waiting room. Okay, fine. We'll see. Due to network issue, maybe she is not able to connect. Yeah. So passive flow of solvents till ABC, your simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, ion channels, they all are related to solutes. The osmosis is a process where solvents are crossing across the membrane. Okay, from the higher water concentration to the lower water concentration or the solvent concentration. Okay, there is a osmosis. Some of the important channels which helps in the movement of water molecules are called as aquaporins. The name itself tells aqua means liquid or the water. Porins means pores. So the aquaporins are one of the important molecules which helps in movement of the water. They are also called as water channels. Okay, you can see in this JF also. It allows the movement of the water molecules from in and out of the cell with no utilization of the energy, and it is specific. It allows only water molecule to travel across the membrane. Okay, that is the your H2O is allowed to travel across the membrane. This is helping in facilitating the water movement across the membrane. One of the disorder related to this kind of aquaporins is called as diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus means the person has increased frequency of urination.
Urination.
Yeah, they have increased frequency of urination. Okay, normally a person urinates a urine of around 1.5 to 2.5 liters of urine in whole one day. Okay, per day. But here the person might be urinating up to 5 liters or even 10 liters depending on his state of disease. But it will be more than the normal person. Okay, it will be more than the normal person. The defect in this pores, which are water channels. Okay, which are water channels. So next type of transport, what we will be discussing is called as active transport. As I already mentioned, active means it requires the energy currency of the cell. When you require energy to be used, when you are pulling the components
Against
of,
concentration जा रहे हैं.
yeah, when you want to pull the substances against the gradient, correct? When you want the things to be done against the gradient, then only you require the energy. Like for example, you have house tank and this is the tap. So if the water is here, do you require the energy currency ATP so that the water molecules are coming here? No.
No.
But yeah, but this is your well and you want to pull it to your tank. Now, do you require the energy currency ATP?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes. So,
Yes.
active transport are most commonly occurring against the gradient. Okay, they are most commonly against the gradient, because of which they require the energy currency ATP to pump this molecule against the gradient. Okay, so that is what is movement of the molecules from low concentration to the high concentration, or also called as moving up the concentration gradient, which requires the energy currency. That is the most common energy currency in the whole body is the ATP. Okay, that is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, adenosine triphosphate, and active transport is most commonly unidirectional. Means either it will go, it helps the movement of molecule either in of the cell or there is one more channel which will allow it to the movement in out to in. Okay, it is unidirectional. Primary active transport, as I mentioned previously, primary active transport means active transport which is only for specific molecule. Okay, like for example here in example you can see here ATP is energy currency. It is binding to the protein or the transporter protein or also called as the channel, and it is allowing the sodium to move across the gradient. If you see in the picture also, here it is high gradient. There are already so many of the sodium are here and there are almost nil sodium inside. So from a low concentration gradient, sodium is pushed out of the cell. Okay, sodium is pushed out of the cell. This can be only for one molecule if it is only sodium pump. But there are plenty amount of other kind of pumps called as sodium potassium pumps. That is, sodium is pushed out and potassium is taken in. Now if you see potassium also, for potassium it is high gradient inside. Inside the cell, the potassium is rich. Outside the cell, potassium is low. Similarly, sodium are rich outside the cell, they are low inside the cell. Okay, the concentration of the sodium in the cell is low, whereas of the potassium is high. Outside the cell, sodium is rich, potassium is low. This is maintained by using the energy that is called as ATP, and this is a type of primary active transport. Okay, in this picture also you can see activation of this pump by the energy currency, then it changes the conformation such that sodium are pushed out and two empty slots potassium will be pushed inside the cell. So this kind of transport is called as active transport, and here as it is, you know, sodium as well as potassium are involved, so this is called as sodium potassium ATPase pump. Okay, you can get so many examples, only say sodium pump, or you can have sodium glucose pump, sodium chloride pump. So here I am showing one of the such example, how a normal gradient, a high concentration of sodium outside and a high concentration of potassium inside are maintained normally in the cells. Okay, next is the secondary active transport. Here it is active transport. First thing you should remember, it is active transport means there is utilization of energy somewhere. Okay, there is utilization of the energy somewhere, but not for the primary work. Like for example, in this picture you can see you have glucose entering inside the cell along with the sodium. Okay, glucose is entering inside the cell along with the sodium, but what is the other thing is doing? Because sodium is entering, the concentration of sodium keeps increasing in the cell, but we do not want that because sodium is only rich in the outside, inside only potassium is rich. So this sodium, whatever is coming inside, it is getting excess. There is increasing in the concentration of the sodium inside the cell because of this transport. Glucose, why we require glucose? Because glucose is the energy currency of the cell, the energy source. It has to be digested by the various enzymes in the glycolysis pathway. Yes, once glycolysis is done, then only energy, like example ATP is synthesized. So glucose need to be taken in the cell, but glucose cannot enter cell single. It comes along with his friends. What are his friends? Sodium is his friend. He enters the home along with sodium. But what is happening? There are plenty amount of friends being entering inside the cell, but we do not want that. We want to throw them out. Who is required now? We require some electric current. to push them out of the cell. Okay, so what is parallelly occurring? Our most important pump, that is the sodium potassium pump. So what it does, whoever is coming in along with glucose, he is just kicking out of the cell by the active transport. So this kind of transport is called as secondary active. Like glucose entry in the cell is called as secondary active, because somewhere the one who is coming along with him is pushed out of the cell by using the ATP. It's like coupled reaction. Sodium goes out, then again it comes in with the glucose, it goes out using energy, again comes in, goes out with the using energy. So this kind of transport is called as secondary active. If you see only this part, it is actually primary active, but this sodium is coming along with glucose. So for this it is secondary active. So that is one of the examples called as sodium dependent glucose transporters. Yes, the name itself is very clear. Sodium, because of the entry of sodium, glucose is entering inside the cell. Sodium dependent glucose transporter. Okay, this is one of the most important aspect. These are most commonly present in intestinal cells. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so this kind of cells or the transport is present in the intestinal cells. And to add on this, you might have come across so many times whenever you are sick or someone is sick, you will routinely make some lemonade juice or something like that. So when you are preparing, what all are the components what you require? You will add some lemon, you will add water, you will add glucose or sugar. Correct. Along with this, it is always recommended to add the salt. What is the benefit of adding salt here? Salt is nothing but sodium chloride, that we all know from our basics. So by adding salt in this, what is happening? This channel, if you see here, if there is no sodium, what happens? Glucose cannot enter the cell. Okay, like for example, if this is the channel, if there is no sodium, how can a glucose enters inside the cell? No sodium means no glucose entry. So in spite of you giving some energy drink, okay, for some person who is like severe diarrhea is there, or he is severely sick, he has not taken anything orally, so you want to give some energy, so glucose is the one of the source of energy. But if you do not add salt, what happens? If there is no sodium, glucose absorption is also hampered. So you wanted to give him some energy, but he is not energetic. Why? Because you are not providing the main important key. Unless you open the door, glucose cannot enter. If you do not give the key to open the door, the glucose molecule cannot enter. So there is no purpose of which is served. So this kind of transporters, that is the glucose transporters, that is the sodium dependent glucose transporters. It is one. Okay. Second type, SGLT2 is present in the kidneys. Okay, these things you will be learning when you are with the carbohydrate chapter. There in absorption, we will be learning what are the different glucose transporters are present. Okay, for now, you just remember for secondary active transport, one of the best example is SGLT1, that is the sodium dependent glucose transporter. Okay, I hope this is clear with the secondary active transport. So to just revise in very brief, simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, ion channels and osmosis. All these are passive transport. Okay, they do not require the ATP. ATP is not at all required. And the transport of some molecules against their concentration gradient from low to high, they require some energy, that is the energy currency ATP. They are called as active transport. Again, they can be of two types: primary active transport and secondary active transport. Okay, in the exam, they'll ask you transport across the membrane for 5-mark question. Different types of transport across the membrane, only just a name, enlist, can be for 3-mark question, or they might ask you for 10-mark also with some examples. Okay, you need to give some examples for each of this. Okay, other type of transport across the membrane, I think we'll continue in the next class. Till now, any confusion or clarifications are required?
No, sir.
Okay, okay then. Fine, I'll just take the attendance. Please unmute whenever your number comes, and also mute it once you are done with the attendance. Okay. Okay, someone has questioned, is aquaporins come under facilitated diffusion? Actually, it is a simple diffusion, aquaporins. There is no particular change in the conformational changes in the structure. So we cannot call it as a facilitated diffusion, but I think you got confused by the word. It facilitates the water molecule movement. It only helps the movement of the water molecule, but it doesn't change the structure. So most of the books refers them as a simple diffusion through the channels, not a facilitated one. Okay. Yeah. Answer your roll numbers. Roll number 1,
Present, sir.
2,
Present, sir.
3,
Present, sir.
4,